Imagine a routine reconnaissance mission that suddenly turns into a high-stakes encounter. A US military plane on patrol finds itself face-to-face with an aggressive maneuver from a Chinese jet. This isn't just another day in the skies. It's a scenario fraught with international tension and potential disaster. What led to this moment? And what were the consequences? Stay with us as we unpack the details of this dangerous aerial confrontation, complete with exclusive footage that you won't want to miss. The skies over the South China Sea are no stranger to military activity, with both the US and China asserting their presence. This region has become a focal point for geopolitical tension. On a seemingly typical day, a US reconnaissance plane was conducting surveillance, adhering to international airspace protocols. But things took a sudden turn when a Chinese jet approached. The encounter wasn't just about proximity. It was a provocative maneuver that raised alarms in both military and diplomatic circles. As the Chinese jet closed in, the US crew had to make split-second decisions to avoid a collision. The jet's aggressive move wasn't just risky, it was a blatant show of force. The Chinese pilot executed a cutoff maneuver, dangerously close to the US aircraft, forcing it to take evasive action. The footage captured from the cockpit shows just how close the two aircraft came. This wasn't just a random act of hostility, it was a calculated move in a broader game of power and intimidation. The video from the US plane provides a chilling perspective. Viewers can see the Chinese jet closing in, the tense moments of maneuvering, and the near miss that could have escalated into a tragedy. Experts who have analyzed the footage point to the deliberate nature of the cutoff, describing it as a message rather than a mere coincidence. The footage has sparked widespread debate about air safety protocols and the rules of engagement in such volatile regions. Following the encounter, both planes returned to their bases, but the incident left a ripple effect across military channels and diplomatic desks. The US immediately lodged a formal protest, condemning the reckless behavior of the Chinese pilot. Meanwhile, Chinese media portrayed the event as a defensive measure against US provocation. The incident highlighted the fragility of peace in contested areas, with both sides walking a fine line between assertiveness and outright conflict. Back on the ground, the incident sparked a flurry of diplomatic activity. The US and China exchanged strong words, each blaming the other for escalating tensions. International bodies like the United Nations and regional allies voiced concerns, calling for restraint and adherence to international laws. This aerial encounter became a hot topic in global diplomacy, with both nations using it to reinforce their narratives about sovereignty and security. In response to the incident, the US military reviewed its protocols for engaging in contested airspace. Commanders emphasized the importance of maintaining vigilance and avoiding escalation. China, on the other hand, ramped up its rhetoric, warning against what it called interference in its sphere of influence. Military exercises in the region intensified as a show of strength. This standoff wasn't just about two planes. It was a reflection of the broader strategic rivalry between two global powers. To understand the significance of this incident, one must look at the history of US-China aerial encounters. These tensions didn't emerge overnight. They are the result of years of competition and territorial disputes. From the Hainan Island incident in 2001 to recent close encounters, each event adds to a narrative of distrust and strategic posturing. This latest incident is part of a pattern, underscoring the ongoing battle for dominance in the skies over the Pacific. Pilots on both sides of the encounter are trained for such scenarios, but the reality of facing off against another military force is harrowing. US pilots undergo rigorous training to handle hostile encounters, relying on split-second decisions and adherence to strict protocols to avoid escalation. Chinese pilots, meanwhile, are often portrayed as defenders of their airspace, following a different set of rules that prioritize national pride over international norms. As news of the incident broke, media outlets around the world picked up the story, each adding their spin to the narrative. In the US, the encounter was seen as an example of Chinese aggression. In China, state media framed it as a necessary action against US provocations. Social media lit up with opinions, memes, and debates about the risks of military brinkmanship. Public reaction highlighted the deep divides in perception, with each side justifying its actions and demonizing the other. The encounter also sheds light on the advanced technologies in play. The U.S. reconnaissance plane was equipped with state-of-the-art sensors and cameras, capturing every detail of the incident. These technologies not only provide real-time intelligence, but also serve as evidence in the diplomatic arena, showcasing the risks and provocations involved. China's jet, with its advanced maneuvering capabilities, reflects the growing sophistication of its military technology, capable of challenging even the most advanced aircraft. The rules of engagement are designed to prevent such incidents from escalating into full-blown conflicts. However, in contested regions, these rules are often tested to their limits. The U.S. military follows strict protocols to avoid unnecessary confrontations, but when provoked, it must also show strength to deter further aggression. China's approach appears to challenge these rules, pushing the boundaries of what is considered acceptable in international airspace and raising questions about the effectiveness of existing protocols. The South China Sea is more than just a body of water, it's a strategic hub for global trade and military operations. Control over this region translates to significant power and influence. Both the US and China have vested interests in maintaining or altering the status quo, making every encounter a potential flashpoint for broader conflict. This latest incident underscores the high stakes involved, as both nations vie for control over this critical region. The encounter has implications beyond just the US and China. Allies and adversaries alike are watching closely, gauging the potential for conflict and the resolve of each nation. NATO allies expressed solidarity with the US, emphasizing the importance of freedom of navigation and the rule of law in international waters and airspace. Meanwhile, other regional players, such as Japan and Australia, took note, assessing their strategies in the face of rising tensions. While this incident ended without physical conflict, it raises concerns about what might happen in a similar future encounter. What if the next time, the result isn't a near miss, but a collision? Such a scenario could lead to rapid escalation, with both sides mobilizing their forces, and a potential conflict that could draw in regional and global players. The incident serves as a warning of the thin line between routine military patrols and full-scale confrontations, urging all parties to exercise caution and restraint. In the wake of the incident, calls for diplomacy have intensified. Experts argue that open lines of communication between military leaders could prevent future encounters from spiraling out of control. Confidence-building measures, such as joint exercises or agreements on airspace management, could reduce the risks of accidental conflicts. Diplomacy is seen as the only viable path to de-escalation, emphasizing dialogue over displays of military might. Every military encounter offers lessons for the future. For the US, this incident highlights the need for continued vigilance and preparedness in contested regions. It underscores the risks of aggressive posturing for China, which could lead to unintended consequences. Both nations must reflect on this event and adapt their strategies to prevent future incidents. Ultimately, the goal is to find a balance between showing strength and avoiding unnecessary provocations, ensuring peace and stability in the region. The incident between the US military plane and the Chinese jet serves as a stark reminder of the ongoing tensions in international airspace. While the footage is gripping, the broader implications demand our attention. As viewers, staying informed about these developments is crucial to understanding the complexities of global security.